What is up, guys? Welcome to Legacy TCG. Back with some Edison tips. This video is going to be about how I navigate my turns when it comes to summoning monsters, using clues that my opponents give me in order to properly, I guess what my opponent is working with, right? So say we are normal summoning our Shura, right? And they have a set back row. And we wait for response, they say nothing. So the first thing that we think about is bottomless trap hole. He didn't bottomless my Shura. Usually, I'm gonna give him a reason to bottomless as well. So say if we have like Whirlwind plus Shura. So if this was bottomless, it would 100% be used, right? Because they don't want the activation off Whirlwind, right? So we can check this off. It's not bottomless, right? Step 2, we go to battle phase, we attack. They do nothing. The second thing that goes off my mind is, okay, so that back row is in deep prison. I mean, he could look to sandbag it. He could look to look for a better target. But honestly, if it's a 4-star and my grave's not set up, Shura is probably as good a target as it gets, right? So we can think, okay, it's not deep prison. Potentially, it could be Mirror Force, right? And on this first note, it could also potentially be Torrential Tribute, right? I guess he could have used it to blow up my Shura, but you know, would I Torrential Tribute just one monster? Maybe. Depends on the hand, the follow-up, if I have a way to deal with this Whirlwind or not. But when these checks go through, these are still possibilities. Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute. So someone went through, we think, okay, no bottomless. Attack went through, it's like, okay, he didn't activate it, no deep prison. Potentially, we're still dealing with these two cards, right? Next turn, we move. Say they don't do anything, that thing doesn't move. We go to, okay, we're gonna try normal summoning this to try to activate Whirlwind, right? And then same thing in our mind, we're thinking, okay, if he doesn't respond with the bottomless, right? Obviously, well, actually, going into this turn, it can't be bottomless. Otherwise, he would have used it on the first one, right? So it's not even on the checklist. Now we're Torrential Tribute checking, right? Or Mirror Force checking. You could, before you summon, strike with a Shura, right? To guarantee the 1800 damage. And then main phase 2, add your monster afterwards. And then we're messing with Torrential Tribute, right? So say main phase 2, I summon this, then yes, it was Torrential Tribute. These guys are gonna go down. This is just using like clues, responses from your opponent to navigate your turns, right? Every time you say they have, let's say, a bluff, right? They have a, sorry, let me grab other cards. Say they have, this happens to me a lot, where I have a dead avarice, right? Say they have a bluff and your monster is Yugioh, and they have like, I don't know, 2 cards in hand. They set 1 card, pass. And next turn I go, before we have this Yugioh, we go Blizzard, right? Even when we summon the Blizzard, we go, okay, anything. Obviously they can't bottomless trap hole it. They could Torrential Tribute it on this summon, right? When I special summon the 4-star monster, they could Torrential, or they could wait until I go up into a bigger one. It's just Yugioh, right? So now we're checking, same thing, bottomless. They don't activate it on the Yugioh. Like, what else are they activating on like this card on? Then if it's not there, it's not there, right? Otherwise, he would have used it. No bottomless. This card's big enough to warrant Torrential Tribute, unless they're thinking about waiting for a dark room to come down. Say we just make the grave look like there's 5 monsters, right? Then they're not thinking about dark room, right? This could be torrential tribute. If it's not activated, then we can check it off our list. The next thing is deep prison, right? We go battle phase, attack. If they don't activate deep prison, I don't know when they would, like, if they had it, then they're going to activate it. There's no other situation where they're like, no, I'm just gonna hold it. Like, no, if it's there, they're gonna use it. Because if they hold this deep prison or something, that it leaves it vulnerable to a potential top deck heavy, top deck mystical space typhoon, and they just took 2,800 damage when they didn't have to. And it could be mirror force, right? The attack doesn't activate it. I guess you could leverage his life points, but the same thing. With this target, you might as well just use it. Say we're going, like, okay, right? So we go to their turn, they draw dead. Next turn, the whole checklist is gone. Now you can kind of essentially do whatever the hell you want, and there's not going to be a punishment for it. You can normal summon this, right? Extend more, add, Gale, go up, synchro. All this stuff is free. You don't even have to think about the checklist. We've gone through the gauntlet of checklists. Bottomless, deep prison, mirror force, torrential. Obviously, there can be other cards depending on the deck. But when you're playing a deck, you're already inserting cards in your head. Okay, usually this deck list runs 10 traps. So say like I'm playing a Blackwing player. Blackwings have 15 traps. 3 of them is going to be Icarus, 2 bottomless, 2 deep prison, a couple draw traps, Solemn, mirror force, torrential, right? Those are all the cards that I'm thinking about when they set a back row, right? If you're playing, say, like frogs and they set something, it's most likely either going to be Raigeki Break, Phoenix Wingwind Blast, or if it's game 2 or 3, then maybe they cited the prisons in, right? So those are the checks that you would be looking for when playing against those type of decks. Say that nothing, let's see. But yeah, this is just how what I go through when someone summons something against me, right? I can either activate bottomless trap hole, deep prison. I could leverage torrential tribute or mirror force by trying to like essentially be like greed for more cards, or say our opponent. You can also glean information if your opponent, say, where is it? Has a set Solemn Judgment. They have set Solemn, right? Here it is. Say we go like this, and then they say let's say his back row is like this. Set torrential, set, I don't know, MST, right? Say it's like this, right? And we're gonna go a heavy storm, right? I'm a heavy storm your field, and your opponent looks at all the cards. They're like, okay, I'm looking, I'm thinking. There's only 2 options, 2 potential options that at least goes through my mind. It's either one of these is Starlight Road, one of these is Solemn, or the third option, they're all going down. There's no repercussion, right? Starlight Road is going to be activated like instantly. It's like, oh, this is what it is. This is what it does. This is what it's here for. I'm gonna activate Starlight Road. It's almost instant, right? But if they think for like 5-10 seconds, right, you can glean that they have Solemn and they're thinking about paying for it, right? So when they do that, and well, I mean, they're gonna activate either way, right? But I guess this is a bad example, because they want to pay essentially 4,000 life points to protect these cards. But Say we're summoning, I don't know. Say we're summoning Brio. Okay, this is a better example. Summoning Brio, they go, you go, is the summon successful? And they go, summons. If they think about giving you the answer, right? Because if it's successful, that means they either don't have bottomless, or they're thinking about solemning judgment, the card they're bringing out. So if they pause for like 5-10 seconds, then you can deduce out of these 3 cards, there's a solemn judgment in one of these, right? If it's bottomless, right, it's just immediate. Like that's what the card does. It gets rid of 1500 attack or more. But when it comes to cards like solemn judgment, there's multiple options. There's like, I could solemn this, or I could save it for something else. I could save it for like potential, I don't know, different synchro summon, or different. I could be saving it for heavy storm or something. I don't know, whatever they want to save it for. But essentially, is if someone takes too long to respond with solid judgment, you can kind of read that that card is there, because that means they have the option to stop you, right? Other cards like bottomless trap hole, torrential tribute, they don't take that much time to think. The only card that takes that much time to think is solemn judgment. There's not many counter spells like dark bribe, or I guess that would be the only other like counter spell that people would use, but or counter trap. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like if it takes a while, you can deduce out of these 3, there's at least a solemn, because they took that long, right? Every other play pattern they did, if they had something, they would use it. But if they take time to deliberate, then you can think, okay, one of these is solemn. But yeah, like using clues is pretty much what this video is about. So also, say with these cards, we're thinking, all right, I have Catastor on field, right? I summoned it, destroyed his whatever, and then they draw, they set a card, and they pass, right? And you're thinking, okay, I've got him on the ropes. What do I do now? Say your hand has like, Shura or whatever. Say it looks like this. You have a bunch of monsters. Like, okay, this dude just set a new card. The thing is, if we add more pressure to the board, we're inherently adding risk to our turn. If we add Shura for more damage, we play into a torrential. We have to go through that whole checklist again. Is it bottomless, deep prison, mirror force, torrential tribute? Especially if they say after the fact, it could definitely be torrential tribute, or it could be a bluff. We don't know, right? So my rule of thumb is, if something's working, don't fix it. Like, you don't have to fix it. Just keep attacking, right? If it was a mirror force, right, and we keep attacking, they can either greed and hopefully I add something else to the board, or they're gonna take 22 over and over and over again until they're forced to activate it, right? If I summon this card, I am inherently adding risk to my turn, right? If I summon this card, I'm playing into his drawn torrential tribute, or sandbag torrential tribute that he had in hand, right, to deal with his board. So also, like, you could be just adding more, and then say there's no response. You could also be playing into mirror force, right? But say we just leave the Catastor and just keep attacking with it, and he does nothing, then maybe later on in later turns we could add more. But honestly, if you can't answer this Catastor, eventually you're just going to be able to win the game with the amount of life points they have remaining. Eventually, they're going to have to flip something, right? Like I've seen players use like be in a good position, but then they'll summon something and then just wipe the whole board, and then your opponent catches up to you. If you've gone through the checklist and then your opponent activates or sets more things for you to checklist through, then if you already have the board, just go through the checklist again, and then if it is Mirror Force, then force them to have it. Like bring them down to a life points where, like, if they take this swing, they're gonna die. They're gonna have to use it at some point. And then once your card's gone, then you can just go back and start, refilling the board. And then they're gonna have to find even more answers for your monsters, right? You don't want to be just summoning your monsters into Mirror Force and Torrential over and over, because you're just gonna lose your cards for no reason when you already had a card that was already doing work for you. But yeah, long-winded video, but pretty much my point is, if when you summon, you're thinking about usually the 4 things: Bottomless, Deep Prison, Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, depending on the matchup. If it's like a fair matchup between Blackwings and I would say Machina, Vayu Turbo, like summon attack, summon set attack, set traps, all that stuff, then I would call those decks more fair. Decks like Frogs and Lightsworns are a little bit different because they don't play Bottomless, they don't play Deep Prison. They just play the game totally differently, right? So you have to think about other things. So like say you're playing Lightsworns, you're thinking about Beckoning Light, Threatening Roar, Mirror Force maybe, and Royal Decree. Those are things you're going to be putting on your mind when playing against them. So instead of Bottomless check, it's Threatening Roar check or Threatening Roar force. Like you're forcing them to use the Threatening Roar, or I guess they could still run the power cards in Mirror Force and Torrential. I've seen them do that before. Frogs, it changes. Instead of these cards, it turns into like Raigeki Break. Maybe they run these. Some lists I've seen, they do run it. Game 2 and 3, Dimensional Fissure or Dimensional Prison might come in, and then they might try to like go lower to the ground with their own Kaikus or Breakers, thinking that you took out cards to not fight those type of monsters. But yeah, like if you watch my videos a lot of times, you'll see, if you watch my gameplay at least, you can kind of see me going through those motions where I'm just thinking, okay, well, I especially in my last game, I think I summoned like a X-Saber Golems or whatever, and yeah, it was just like a huge body and it was swinging in, and like obviously if my opponent had the answer, he would have used it already, because 3100 is like how much more threatening does it need to be before your spell or trap does anything? And if it's not Torrential, Mirror Force, Bottomless, Deep Prison, then most likely it's just going to be a bluff that's trying to relieve pressure by putting mental pressure onto me. But if you're able to deduce that it is not one of these cards, then decision making becomes a lot easier, I would say. Yeah, using clues. You can use clues based on what you summon, how you attack. You can use, like, say if they have a bunch of back row like this, right? And you summon, or you do something and they think for a while, then you can possibly deduce that it's a Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment is usually the only card that takes that long for an opponent to think, because it's a lot of life points, and they actually have the power to decide for you and them. But yeah, deduction, using clues, checklists, those are things that you should be thinking about when playing this game. And once you start doing that, you'll be able to navigate turns a lot easier, in my opinion. But that's also why mix-ups are very powerful as well. So like for me, I have 3 Compulse, and people are not used to playing against Compulse because it's not a standard card. It's not a card that's very seen often. That's why mix-ups are really, really powerful as well. Because if people are used to a certain pattern and you break that pattern, then they're not prepared. They're not thinking about that potential, right? That's why having different cards in your deck that's not on your opponent's radar is very powerful. So like sometimes some weeks I'll put limited removal because they never ever see that. That's why I argue that playing in locals is actually harder for me because they learn my patterns and they're able to decipher me essentially easier. Whereas if you go to another tournament outside your locals, then those opponents you play, they have no idea how you play. They have no idea what your pattern is, just because they haven't seen you play and they haven't learned those patterns. They have to learn those patterns in 45 minutes. Whereas at locals, we spent weeks and months playing against each other over and over to where our patterns have essentially been studied and learned by our opponents. So some weeks I'll have to change the way I play the game in general to win. I have to play almost like unorthodox, like to the point where it doesn't make sense in order to get wins from certain players. But yeah, anyways, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.